West Ham's pre-season got underway today as we got beat 3-2 by FC Winterthur over in Switzerland. We're here to zoom through the games and the highlights and give you our opinions. Gonzo, 50 minutes, Winterthur hit the post. 25 minutes in, it was 1-0. It was a header from them, a lovely ball in, nice little header. But what do you taking away from the game? We're not going to concentrate on the result of the goals too much. What do you look for in pre-season, like today specifically?
A bit of fitness, obviously. I think there is a reason that football and rugby are known as winter games. I think it's very hard when players are not match fit for them to play in conditions like they were. I don't know if you saw it. There was a big stop in play, and because it was quite a funny stream, it was just sort of one camera stayed open the whole time. There was almost a drink. Well, it was a drinks break. It wasn't almost a drinks break. There was absolutely a drinks break. And you can see the players were just covering themselves in liquids and everything. So I think that was a real fitness test for them today. So yeah, I don't read too much into any technical performances. I would imagine that anything the manager saw today, he's probably been seeing in training anyway. So as training's gone on, the training camp in Switzerland, he's probably been thinking, yeah, I like him, not so sure about him. So, yeah, chance to get the fitness up. And I'm sure they would have impressed him or not impressed him a little bit, but he won't read too much into it.
Yeah, so 25 minutes gone is 1-0 to the Swiss side. Poor-ish defending by West Ham. It was an easy enough crossing header. 32 minutes, though, it was 1-1. Charlie, Nathan Holland, I think deserves credit for his pass to Fernandes, cut the defence open. Fernandes gave it to Andy Carroll, half a yard out in the middle of the goal. Couldn't really miss, could he?
Yeah, it's almost like if you support people around the striker, stuff happens. It's mad, isn't it, how these things work? Yeah, I think you're right. Holland deserves credit for the pass, and then Fernandes deserves credit for the run he made in between defenders round the back as well. They didn't, when we actually put some mild, decent pressure on them with numbers, they looked like they would crumble. And so when we finally did, Fernandes had the intelligence to just simple run round the back. Nathan Holland found the pass, and then Andy Carroll sort of bundled it in, which is the best you can expect for the first sort of goal from pre-season.
38th minute, it was 2-1 to the Swiss side, but nobody's seen the goal. West Ham might have changed their manager, brought in new players, but the media team remains the same. The stream cut out for everybody. It was a blackout, and luckily so, because we missed the Swiss goal. In the 40th minute, Winterthur then decided to hit the crossbar, and then in the 42nd minute, this is where the action started. Gonzo, penalty for West Ham. Andy Carroll steps up, and West Ham's reject goalkeeper Spiegel decides it was a decent enough save, and then he pulls off a worldly save, then it's cleared off the line.
Yeah, well, you could make it up, couldn't you, actually? Whilst I say he's not going to read too much into it, I do think that you sometimes you see what you want to see. And sometimes when you look at things, you're just asking for confirmation of an opinion you might already have. And I think it's those players who might be in trouble. So if Pellegrini is in a mindset that maybe Andy Carroll is not his type of player, something like a miss from a penalty, particularly as one was scored later from him, might have him thinking, oh, maybe he's not for me, even though the guy had scored just prior to that. It was a sloppy pen, but he wouldn't have been taking them anyway. I can't think I've seen Andy Carroll take a penalty before, and that's probably why.
2-1 at half-time. 11 changes were made for West Ham United, including Fredericks and Diop came on, the two new signings. And then Charlie was 3-1 halfway into the second half. A bit of a defensive error, if you like, between Ogbonna and Diop.
Yeah, and you could make the argument that Trott has a little bit to blame as well. I think it's just one of those things where you've got a new centre-back pairing, you've got a new goalkeeper in that area as well. There's going to be miscommunications, especially when it seems like one of them can't speak English yet. So it's not surprising that a long ball over the top all of a sudden put them both in a position where, oh, crap, we've got to deal with this. They were both already on the back foot. Trott came to try and get it, wasn't quick enough off his line, and it was a decent finish, actually, to be fair. You've got two Premier League defenders who are both huge, sprinting directly at you. And then on top of that, you've got the goalkeeper coming towards you who isn't huge, but is at least a Premier League goalkeeper. And he finished it very well. And he should be commended for that because I don't think any of our strikers would have put it away as easily as we saw today.
So with about 10 minutes to go, while West Ham's performance is going downhill, Jordan Hugo decided to go down as well. There was a penalty. Andy Carroll was off the pitch at this point, Gonzo, but Martin Noble was back on it. And to be fair, even before the ball was kicked, we knew it was 3-2, really, didn't we?
Yeah, penalty specialist. And I thought he actually looked all right. I think he might have been one of the ones that Pellegrini probably looked at and thought, oh, actually, maybe he can do something in my midfield, which I think over the course of the 90 minutes he probably does. now think what we all know, which is the midfield does need some attention. The tackle, it was a flying tackle from the keeper. He didn't even try and sort of spread it, did he? I think it was almost like a 2-footed challenge. It's hard to see because the image was quite grainy. But yeah, Hugo went down. Hugo looked slightly quicker than I seem to remember. Won the pen, yeah. Well dispatched by Noble, certainly.
Well, finished 3-2, but the result is something you can just take with a pinch of salt. It's pre-season after all. Charlie, 4-2-3-1. That the formation you were perhaps expecting, and is that the formation you were happy to see?
Yeah. I've been shouting for the rooftops for ages about this since Bilic started playing 4-3-3 out of nowhere and it wasn't working. It's what we should be playing. If we want to really step up to teams and play the way that I think we all kind of want to see us to play, we need to get people in and around. We need to get options up front. And by putting sort of 4 people in that attacking area, being in a 4-2-3-1 formation, that's what you get. We looked better. You had a lot of young players in that first half who had sort of played a bit together, but you could see they wanted to do quick passing movements and take players on. And just seeing that is super refreshing from after watching David Moyes for such a long time.
Gonzo, perhaps not the best performance per se, but as Charlie alluded to, they were trying to play what is we call the Pellegrini way. If you like 4-2-3-1, the ball didn't leave the deck that often. Are you happy with what you saw in terms of the setup?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't mind. I thought we'd move away from the 3. That much we knew. I think he might tinker with that slightly in matches, but I think you'll always see a 4 at the back with him. Certainly, I think one of those central midfielders may well be sacrificed to become a forward if we're going for the jugular or chasing games. But I don't think he'll read too much into it, because he obviously either Hernandez and/or Arnautovic will be a big part of whatever formation he's got, and obviously they weren't present today anyway. But yeah, I mean, from small acorns and all that sort of thing, and obviously we're playing that Swiss team at home. That they were really up for it, and we were just chopping and changing. And there'll be players that played today that probably won't play for West Ham again as well.
Gonzo, while we don't want to read too much into individual performances, is it quite a stark difference, if you like, between the pace of the 2 right backs and Zabaleta in the first half, and then Fredericks when he came on in the second half? Because at the end of the day, pace is pace. It's not going to change, no matter whether it's friendly or competitive. Your speed's not going to change drastically, is it?
Yeah, he is lightning, isn't he? There's no doubt about that. Actually, there were a couple of times when he was bombing forward, Fredericks, when I thought, well, actually, that might have been a nice combination. I'd like to have seen him with Nathan, actually, because I really do think he would have brought him in and overlapped. His first touch is not fantastic. I thought he might be a dirty player, but I don't think he is. I think he's so quick, and because his first touch isn't fantastic, when he controls it, it seems to bounce 2 or 3 yards away from him, and then he sort of lunges to try and get it back. So I think we'll see a few cards from him, but I think there's probably some exciting things to come from him, and if we can get that partnership right down the right-hand side, then it seems to be that Pellegrini will really liberate those fullbacks. It'll be interesting to see who he chooses in the first game of the season.
Charlie, 20 outfielders for West Ham today. Did anyone impress you, or did anyone disappoint you?
I think that Zabaleta I was actually kind of disappointed in that first half. I'm used to him being super consistent and reliable despite the lack of pace. And against the bigger Premier League teams, you see that. But I thought he was kind of getting a little bit destroyed down that right at the beginning of the game. Especially, I was a bit concerned about that. But at his age, he's probably going to take a little bit longer to get back into the swing of things. And then hopefully by the time the season starts, he'll be good. That's what these games are for. I like seeing Cullen. I'm a bit sad that he's probably going to go. And getting to see him sort of boss it a little bit in midfield, and he looked like someone who was desperate to get on the ball and prove that he could still do it here. And I think it's a shame, because I think he played all right, but it seems the decision's being made outside of that. And then Hapsabanovic, I think, or however you want to pronounce it, I still can't pronounce it. I thought he played all right. I thought he looked decent. He cut inside a lot. He was looking to take on players. He did a nice couple of little passing triangles with Fernandez, and that's sort of what you would expect from a Pellegrini wide player, to sort of come inside and link up with for a striker or that sort of second striker cam player. So that was really good.
Don't worry about pronouncing players' names. Someone that gets paid by West Ham called him Ryan Snodgrass, Scott Hugo, and then Pedro Obiang 40 minutes after
Bonner.
After he left the pitch. But Gonzo, what about yourself? Is there any players that, well, you perhaps don't want to say you're disappointed in them because it's a friendly, but is there anyone that did disappoint you or impressed you?
Well, I think Ogbonna will be slightly disappointed. I think Haksabanovic is a good shout from Charlie. Well, he played well, and then I thought Nathan Holland mirrored him on the right-hand side, and he was constantly trying stuff, Nathan, which is so important when you're in these games that don't count, that you don't play it safe. It's easy to just play a little sideward pass. But if you're confident in your ability, this is the chance that you have to actually try and dribble past the man, to try and play a killer pass, to try and do a run. And I was pleased that they both tried to do that. I thought, as I said, I thought Noble played quite well. Masuaku tried to get forward a little bit, certainly. I don't want to read too much into it, certainly, but I think a couple of things I saw Diop. I thought, oh, okay, I think there's promise to come from that boy. Actually, I was quite impressed. We didn't see much of him really. The defence were busier in the first half, weren't they? But what I did see, I can see why we bought him. I'm quite excited to see a bit more of him.
Yeah, I thought Coventry played well in the first half in centre midfield as well. He was putting himself about a little bit, and it's good to see people like that. Like, as you said, this is your chance. You've got to step up a little bit, and it's easier for people like Obiang to breeze through it a bit because he doesn't really have to play for a position in the squad next year. It's his already. First 11 perhaps, but not the squad, whereas Coventry's got to make an impression. I thought he did. I thought Zabaleta was poor, like Charlie said. I think it's more just his pace. It's not really his ability of that. He was getting forward okay, but the problem is when they broke, he was about 10 yards behind, and Declan Rice was getting dragged right out there quite a lot, and you can't really get away with that in a flat back four. You can get away with it in a five because there's two other centre backs when one goes out. But when Rice went out, Oxford was then having the whole centre of the pitch to himself, who I thought also played quite well today. There's a couple of times Oxford covered for Rice because of this situation, and he looked good on the ball. Oxford, he was doing a lot of first time passes, which other players were then taking 2 touches to do. I thought Fredericks changed the game for us a little bit on that right hand side. I thought Brown looked good. I thought Snodgrass looked poor. I know people say it, but I thought he was. There's a few of his crosses, his free kicks. There's one time someone passed to him and he got it bobbled between his feet and went out behind him for a throw. And I just thought, this is. I feel sorry for him. But I thought Hugo looked a bit better than I expected. But my expectations are quite low, so I don't want to read too much into it. But I thought Diop looked good as well. And there's a few tackles he did as well. Oh, this guy is a bit. He looked better than Ogbonna, but again, I'm going to use the Obiang theory for Ogbonna in the sense that he doesn't have anything to prove a little bit. He can breeze through pre-season a bit and turn it on at Anfield. But Charlie, is there anything else you'd like to add about the game overall? That
Yeah, I mean, I think Gonzo said sort of a similar thing. You can't really read too much into it, but what I think you can do is you can't get conclusions, but you can sort of get little hints here and there of things that are going to happen. I think talking about a formation is important because it's the first time we're going to see that. I think individual small performances, especially from youth players, in a situation where we know we're not going to spend as much money as we probably need to, youth players are going to have an opportunity to step up and make their name known to Manuel Pellegrini going forward. And pre-season is always good to see them because they actually put the effort in, and now they've got something at the end of the rainbow possibly to say, look, you could actually play in the Premier League if you put your name down here. And so it's good to see some of them really stepping up and putting their best foot forward.
Gonzo, final words?
Yeah, I'll just echo what Charlie said there. It is all about new signings and young players. Are we bothered about seeing some of the players you mentioned, Ogbonna, Obiang, Masuaku I mentioned earlier? We know all about them, don't we? So yeah, it is exciting to see Coventry and Holland and Diop and Fredericks. It's funny, yeah. We're excited, and it's a funny atmosphere because it was very quiet, and we're pleased for the feed. I'm grateful that they streamed it, so I don't want to criticise the production too much. But it's a funny way to watch football with sort of no analysis and very, very quiet crowd. Obviously, I didn't have mics near the pitch, did they? Just the microphone was obviously on the camera that was recording it. We didn't have replays, but pleased. Yeah, we take little nuggets away from it, certainly.
It's good to see Pellegrini playing 4-2-3-1. We expected it, but you just need that confirmation on day one, don't you? Think, okay, brilliant, that's his blueprint. He'll tweak it a bit, but you can see what he's trying to go forward. The only thing I will say is, I know there's players who come in like Anavic and stuff, but you look at that squad, you do think, it's a bit light in a couple of areas. The fact that Rice is playing centre-back when we all thought he'd be playing centre-midfield, for example, and if Pellegrini is playing in centre-midfield, he must be itching to get him into centre-midfield, but he can't because he doesn't have another centre-back. I know you can say, well, Pasca's there, you could use Pask, but if you do that, you're then taking a centre midfield out and probably pissing that centre midfield off a little bit. So it's must be a bit frustrating for Pellegrini, but this Corinthian centre back might be to solve that potential issue, if you like. But last question, Charlie, man of match. It's not such a big deal, it's just pre-season, but we do it all the time. So fire away.
Jordan Hugo, why not? Let's do it. He's never going to get another one. Back the boy.
Scott Hugo, according to
sorry, Scott. My apologies, Scott Hugo.
Gonzo, your man match plays.
Yeah. Angelo Ogbiang, yeah. I think it's. I'm going to give it to Mark Noble, actually, just because I thought he scored the goal, but also I think he played that second half. I think Pellegrini probably watched him and thought, that's why he's the captain. He weren't mucking around, even though it's friendly. He was getting stuck in as well. So I think he's probably cemented the fact in Pellegrini's mind that he's a leader. So I'll go with Noble.
I'm going to say Noble as well, purely for some of the reasons to Gonzo, but also because of what I just said about Obiang and Obona. They breezed through it. They weren't really impressing. Mark Noble's got as much right, or even more right, than them to have the same sort of attitude, but he didn't today. He turned up like one of the hungry young players and said, but if you listen to him during the week, he said he's getting on a bit, etc. You can tell he knows that age is not on his side anymore and he's got something to prove. And today he sort of brought that on the pitch with him a little bit, which is good to see. Anyway, thanks for joining us on this stream. Let us know in the comments below what you thought if you watched the game. It's finished 3-2. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. We'll be with you all through the pre-season, hopefully watching all the games and giving you our thoughts straight after. Catch you in a bit.